Hello, welcome to BlenderDiplom.com. My name is Christoph Pöhler and I will show you today how you could make such a ghost effect in Blender while using the Clove Simulator, some mesh modeling and vertex paint. And in the finish we will create these materials in cycles. Have fun! So let's start. First things first, we open a new blend file with camera, cube and everything else. I activate the screencast tool, make the symbol a bit bigger. Here we go. And now we are selecting everything while pushing A and twice delete it with X. Okay. At first we need our ghost body, which means I simply create a Susan. Here we go. And with Susan I simply do just creating a texture for the better use, which means I'll just pushing V to go into vertex paint and pushing T to get the menu, and I simply go to dirt vertex color and I got this wonderful setup, and this is actually the only thing I need for texture or simply for the setup. And I go back to the edit modus and do simply make a smooth, and with Control 1 I set up first I set up, maybe more important, a collision modifier, which means Clove can't slit through it, so it's a practical obstacle. So now by pushing Control 1 I set up a subdivision object, and this is actually everything we need to do for the Susan. Okay, I got a little system shock, so everything is set to normal. It's the ordinary way. It looks just a bit different, but everything is the same. So the next thing we got to do is the shirt. So I will have to got the ghost round shirt, cause it would be better to work with. And first I select a circle, make him 4 times bigger, give him 128 vertices, and now we will fill in this grid, and we will fill in a even grid, which we use the fill in option. For the fill in option we need to select 2 equal sides of vertices, which means we will select the both vertices on the epsilon axis, and we will, while pushing Control F, we will select the neighbors. And while selecting the neighbors you see the vertices are rising and the edges, and we need to create an even mesh, which means we need to half of the 228 edges, which will be 64 vertices. So pardon me, thinking English is a bit complicated. So if you select one too much, you are able to deselect one by pushing Control minus. Pretty cool. Okay, and now the simple thing, by simply clicking Control F minus Control F, pardon me, and going to fill grid, we simply filled in the whole grid even and very nice. Okay, this is actually So the next thing we need to do is to give those edges a round border, which means I simply select the outer edge with Control with Shift Alt left click, and now I'm pushing E S by the factor of 2, and with Control R we are cutting 12 loops, and by clicking 2 times we got the correct amount of vertices. Now if I select everything and deselect the outer limit, I will use a smooth, cause we got some pretty nasty poly issues. I will really love to get rid of them. So which means I push just W, going to smooth, and set the smooth volume to 100, and the itchy stuff is gone. And now I will simply delete the painting, and we need to do a very different way of making the fringes so weird and itchy, which means I select one of the maybe the last edge which goes around of us, which means this one wouldn't work obviously, but this one will work, and I push V to deselect it from the view, and I select one edge over here, which means this and this are obviously now different objects, and if I am selecting this edge, I am able to select under the selection menu the select ring, pushing V, and now I am just need to redefine the edge loops, and while selecting everything will be one part, but we lose the fringes. So I simply go into Z, also into the wild modus, going to the vertex paint, vertice mode, and selecting every part around it, maybe a bit random. This is cool, like so, and so, and so. And while pushing W, remove doubles, I have removed all the doubles around it. Pretty easy and very fast. So, next step is we will make the round shape a bit uneven, which means we will delete some of these edges, and I'll select it like the other way, some edges of the border of it, make sure that it's been really uneven and got some pretty nice angles in it. Just go for the gag. You don't need to select every angle, but just some, a little bit, maybe there some. Okay, this looks pretty good. Go to X, delete the faces, and we got finally the mesh which we need to select to create the ghost sheep. Pretty fine. Okay, the next step is the clothes simulation. We already set up the head to a collision object, and now we need to set up the head the sheet to a clove object, in which we simply move one unit above the monkey head, which is very important because we need a little speed for fall off to make the look a bit random, more random. But it shouldn't be not too fast, cause while having this sheet too fast, it will be roll over and doing something very weird. Okay, this is pretty fine. Going to the set modus, to the solid modus, and now we are simply setting up under the simulation panel the clove simulation. We set it to silk, and we give the simulation under collision a self collision. Okay, now we just need to push Ctrl A, and it falls down to the monkey. The fringes already got a bit messed up, but this is okay and just the thing that we want. And they lay around the ghost, snapping together, and via a count of 100 it will be fine. Just give him a moment. Okay, and this is exact the result we are going to need. So I will now append this clove simulation to the sheet, and now we are actually going to make the to give the ghost a face. So this is actually not actually a bit complicated, cause you haven't got an even mesh. You just need to guess where are the eyes and select two faces or vertices. Delete those two while deleting while deleting vertices to got some really big eye holes, or small, just like you are preferring it. Selecting one edge while pushing pushing just Alt right mouse button. Pardon me, I thought I said it before a bit wrong. Pushing E to get an extrude, snap it back, and going to E and give it a smooth. 100 is okay. And do the same thing with the other side, which means pushing Alt and right click to get the shape, pushing E, snap it back, pushing B, smooth via 100, and you got the ghost eyes. This is actually everything we need to do about the ghost sheet. We are simply going to give him some smooth, to give him a subdivision, and here we go. This is our ghost, maybe a bit thickness too. Simply add a solidifier and switch the offset to 1, and we are good to go. This is our ghost. Okay, this is the shirt, and now we are going to animate the shirt. To make the simulation work, we need to create and I mute the modifiers for this. We need to create a vertex group. The vertex group is actually pretty simple. We just go to edit modus in the wired modus and select every vertice till under the nose. This is okay. And now we are creating a new vertex group via pushing M+, creating a name like pin, and just simply clicking assign. And if we are now going into the white paint modus, you see everything we are selected is actually red. This is, and which means the red part wouldn't move at all, but the blue part will move. And to make the selection a bit smoother, we are simply selecting the blur tool, make it a bit bigger, and simply going around the edges, just so it really don't need to be perfect, just be a bit more color. Okay, this is fine, and this is something we are able to work in Blender. Okay, next thing we need to select. We need to make a parent, cause we will animate the ghost with the monkey head. So the clothes, our sheet must be a child to the head, which means to make a parent we simply push Ctrl plus, but we need to select both objects we will like to parent to each other. And this is going to happen by selecting the child and selecting the head and pushing Ctrl F, Ctrl P, and make it to object. And you see there's a little dotted line which goes through the pivot point of a monkey to the pivot point of a shield, and which means this is a relation line. So if we are selecting the head, we are simply able to move the head around, and the shirt is stick to it. And this is pretty much everything. Okay, now we're going to the animation. Animation in the monkey will be pretty simple. So I simply go to animation, set up scene, reset the timeline to control with shift simply to 1, with shift arrow button behind, and now we're able to animate. For animation I will use the auto record, because it's the fastest way to do it, and we are setting the monkey head above there, rotate it like so, give it a bit like this, it's going down there, and now I will animate it via 100 frames, set it about here, give it a bit like this, it's okay. Now we're going to 50, set it down under, and give him a bit like this rotation. Okay, and if we are animating it, it looks pretty fine, and I'll stop the animation by 120 frames by pushing E. And now we are set up the simulation, and it's actually the same thing in the first time. So we go to the simulation panel, select the shirt, click on cloth, silk is already set, and now we're going to pinning and select our pinning group. And now I just go to the self collision option, and now we are going to the cloth catch, while a cloth cache. While the animation I was doing, I will need to do a save. So please feel free to save the file now, cause we will bake the file, and this requires that the file is safe. Nevertheless, I'll set up the end file to 130 and go to bake. This is actually pretty fast, and I think I don't need to pause the record and simply go on to tell you something about simulation. Simulation can take a while, and they are able to take a pretty while, and this is one thing of okay, but the second thing, which is pretty terrible, sometimes animation or simulation will do things which you don't expect, which means it is pretty possible that the shirt will wrap around the ghost in a way we don't expect. So I'm pretty curious what is going to happen with our ghost till it reached the 100 setting in about now. Okay, and as promised, the last frame looked pretty terrible, but this is nothing I will follow. So I was hoping that the ghost will doing something pretty awesome, and he didn't do. Maybe the animation is simply too fast. This is nothing to be ashamed of, but first I will deactivate the auto record, and now I will set up a better timing while going into the action editor, I think it was, or is it called drop sheet editor? Pardon me. I am so old while using this software. Never mind. I simply scale this animation node to give it more time for animation, and I simply going to S and set it up to about 2, which means the animation ends while 200 frames. And I will give him some extra time, so I set up the end frame to 220 and the bake file to 220 and bake it again. But this way I think I pause the recording. And this is looking very fine. Thanks God. So I simply go to the animation or simply push animation, and you see the ghost is going exactly the thing I like him to behave. Okay, so if you're doing such a kind of animation, be gently, cause the clothes simulator is something which don't like to forgive. Okay, maybe we are taking a frame like this. Very good. And going back to the default window. And now we are going into the cycles animation thing. Okay. At first I will set up a camera because I would like to render this frame. So while pushing number block 0, I'm going into the camera, and under N the viewer you are able to go to locked camera, and now you are able to control your camera while using it, and you are simply going to set up this file. Pretty cool. Maybe you do some camera settings. I have a Canon 60D, and maybe to don't have some weird lens things, I set up to 50. And now this is actually pretty good. Okay, so this is enough for the camera, so I deactivate the lock camera, and now I would like to create my preferred cycles render menu, which means first I activate the modifier, and I actually did a pretty big mistake. It looks awful and I don't know why. But actually I know why, and I'm a bit stupid to actually forget about this. This happened, and this was actually a reason why the baking took so long. Cause I forgot about the Blender modifier stack, which means actually made every rendering. Okay, first things first. You have to notice that every vertex that you are able to create more vertices with a modifier stack, and the clove simulator simulate these vertices, which is they are got. So if you have a subdivision surface modifier and a solidifier modifier above you, the clove simulator will simulate the vertices they got from it. Luckily, I mute those two, so I am able to use my old simulation, which looks pretty fine. But actually, this was the stupidest thing that you are able to do. So please, if you're doing simulation, check this first. So this was actually the bad education way. Nevertheless, back to cycles. I simply drag down one menu and make this a menu to a node editor, which got actually a brand new some new improvements on it, which I actually haven't got all discovered. And next time I simply split this window in two, and set up the camera, which I'm going to select, to be not alpha, but simply black. Now I am able to use cycles, and in the cycles engine I am able to use a real-time rendering. But the pretty damn thing is, in cycles render I can't see which object I actually selected, and this is for where I got the second viewport to have this information. And the first things I would like to do is to set up a better environment light. And for this one I would like to use the skylight, and you are able to do this under the world properties in the property panel. Just go to surface, use node. Under color you simply click on sky texture, and we got a new sky texture in Blender 2.89. This is pretty awesome, and actually it's looking pretty good, but we need to have it much darker. Maybe like so. Okay, this is cool. And now we are selecting the monkey head, because the monkey head is our actually light source in the file. So we are simply creating a new head, setting up a material, and I call it Suzanne, to have a bit of order. And this standard material got a diffuse lighting and output, but we don't use the diffuse shader, so I simply delete him and select the emit shader, because we want to emit a color. And I simply push it into emit, go to, and now I want to have my vertex paint I created later on, and this I go into while getting an attribute. Attributes are actually everything which is around here. So I simply go into the color panel and name it like here, just typing color, and I got my attribute. Pretty cool. But I want to have a slightly greenish color in it, and so I will mix the color, and I go to color, mix color. Don't use the vertex shader mixers, cause this is something totally different. And first I plug in the attribute to the lower half, set it to multiply, and the factor I set up to 1. Multiply, delete every color which is white or slightly white. So actually the black color will stay, and I'm able to create a new color with the color panel, and I select some very desaturated lightning cyan color over here. So pretty cool. And now we are going to the shirt. The shirt is a complexer material because it combines actually 1, 2, 3, 4 shaders, and I think I got a bit of a big problem because I forget to make something for the final translucency shader, but I think I'm able to fix it. So I'm going to color, and now I got a new I create a new material, pardon me, and I call it shirt, and we definitely need a diffuse color in here, and I give him some bluish, greenish, maybe greenish color. Maybe we are going to set up the strength of the head a bit higher to somehow 4. Okay, looks better. And now it's actually everything we need above the diffuse color. We need our second shader. And the second shader is a translucent shader. And first I would like to demonstrate the translucent shader. It's actually the transparent shader. Go again, the translucent shader is a bit deeper. Okay, the translucent shader. Transmit every light which is behind or in something, so light will bleed through the object. And we need both abilities combined. And to combine two shaders, we need a add shader. To better understand this, shaders can't only combine by add or a mix shader, and the add shader simply combines two shaders while using them equal to each other, which means the diffuse color illuminates just and lights there on the surface on the ghost. The translucent shader emits the light which are going from the inside through it. So we have got both information. Maybe at this point we are going to set up cycles a little bit to make things better and faster. First things, I'm able to use GPU because I don't use any experimental features like subsurface scattering or some new stuff, and it's going a lot faster. Next up is the sampling menu. I set up the clamp to about 2 and it's getting a bit less grizzier. And I set up a preview for about 50, and so it's got more steps and it looks more smooth. Pretty awesome. Next thing is the light path, where I select no caustics and maybe the glossiness to about the glossy filter to about 6, which made this also great, and set down the bounce to about 3 or 2. 2 is also okay. 1 is maybe a bit dark, but 2 is okay. Good. This will make cycles a bit faster in the end. The rendering I will set up to 250. Now we are going to simply take a bit back to our translucent, and we are going to set him up a bit greenish, and the strength of the translucence shader depends only on the color, so which means when lighter the translucent color, then more emitting. So if it's black, it don't do anything, and if it's going to be light white, it emitting at maximum capacity. So I just make it a bit darker and set up a color which is going to give him some gruesome look. Maybe a reddish color, man, no. Something about here, some green ghost, swamp ghost. Okay, so now I would like to have some illumination around the outsides of my ghost. And this is something I just do with the emission modifier, shader. So I go to emission, set up an emission shader, and mix him. And now I'm able to mix this shader with my edge shader together, and it looks like this. Okay, this is cause the factor just simply creates a shader which looks like use the edge shader at full capacity or use the emission shader at full capacity, but we need something else. So I go into the menu with Shift A and add actually, where did my screencast go? Where it is? Pardon me. So back again, I use the shader. I use under the input a layer. Yes, a layer weight shader, and this creates something like a normal map, a normal shader, which means it decided to use only one side. And here I got a fatal flaw. I easily switched the sides because I just want the illumination on the outside of the shades of the cloth. So I simply go over there and make the blend very, very, very decent. Like to 5. This is okay because I just want to have the little itchy around it. And you got two ways to set up a layer weight. You got the Fresnel, which is a bit stronger and actually looks better. Maybe the Fresnel even looks better. Okay, so this is about the layers with the ghosts, and now I want to make these little fringes transparency, and this is something I got a huge mistake. So you will see I just want to create a vertex paint, and for this I just maximize one of the pictures like this, and we are looking at the ghost. So this is our ghost now. We got not the advantage of a flat ghost, we just have it like this. So to use the vertex paint, I simply select with a B tool every fringe like this. I would like to select, yes, actually like this, maybe a bit more, like this. Okay, now I am going to the vertex paint mode with V and activating the face select masking, which means we use the selection which I already done in the 3D viewport in the edit modus. And now we are able, maybe we are able to set up a dirt paint, which looking actually pretty awesome. But now I just need to add some black to it, and I simply selecting it while pushing just black. Maybe I'm able to do some animation to get a better frame of it. Yes, this is okay, pretty much good. Deselecting that modus, and now we are going back to the paint modus and simply set it smooth so it goes all around the ghost. Pretty cool. And now we are able to switch out of vertex mode, going back to Z, going out of the window, and now we are going back to a frame I had, maybe more down here. Okay, about here. And now I'm able to set up my translucent transparent shader under transparent and mix him also in with a mix shader. And while doing this, we got the same problem. It looks a bit cooler, yes, but it's not actually the mission. So I simply go into the input, put a new attribute, go into the panel, and we see the color is the same. So I simply name it color, and maybe I write it the right way, so COL, and plug it into the value. And now the fringe is actually a bit gone, but you see you got the opportunity to fix this thing while simply going into the vertex modus and give him some more, and this looks actually pretty nice. Okay, this is actually cool with me. Very good. So this is actually everything about how to create viscose in Blender. I hope you have fun and you also did see how actually easy it is to make up some mistakes in Blender. So have fun and happy blending.